What is a vibe coding that everyone talks about versus, say, traditional coding? Is it always like this image that vibe coding is all amazing, everything is perfect, versus traditional coders, they may have difficulties all the time? It's not always black and white, but they have their own way of doing things as well as kind of benefits and sometimes the risks. We can't go through all the details of it, but here you can get some gist of it. If you just try to sort of even Google vibe coding versus traditional, you get a lot of things. Something like, for instance, these kind of images. It's not perfect always, the comparison they do, but you can get some ideas. Like what's the objective, what's the process going on, and how fast that you can do in each of these, and what's the best use case or risk level, and so on. You can actually have different types of parameters here. For instance, objective in vibe coding, you can just have like a prompt and quickly and go through get your MVP type of things. A traditional one, you can if you are expert, but sometimes it's quite challenging to get something really work. Of course, it's not just about solving known problems. You can do all sort of things with traditional coding. So it means like manually you're involved and trying to search like Google and the syntaxes that that your knowledge and all sort of details. But maybe vibe coding is not, as the name actually suggests. The processes, for instance, in a traditional one, it's a lot of structure and planning, and maybe lots of people involved. In vibe coding, it could be you just basically build something from scratch with no understanding of what the code might do, but all the details. I mean, but at least you should have some idea that what it does. But in terms of the speed, of course, the vibe coding could be an early time could be fast, but as it says here, the chaotic. Because if it gets complicated, then if you don't have the knowledge that what's going on here, I've seen people actually struggling, and even myself like struggle. Okay, what's going on here? Because you are not really on top of all the details being written here, and AI has written most of it or all of it. But in terms of traditional one, maybe it's just because lots of people involved and lots of the structures involved and architecture involved. Maybe it's easier to decode it or try to debug it, etc. And yeah, these are some ideas in terms of the best use cases or risk level. Risk level is something that we need to consider, right? Because the vibe coding is great for MVP type of things. People actually have done really great work. It's even like extending to a product, and like there are Cursor or other types of website or products that build on large language models that it can help you from zero to hero, basically. Products that we will tell you in this course some of the aspects of it, but the risk still there could be high. But I'm sure in the next 5, 10 years things will change dramatically, of course. But it's good to learn and be on top of it, understanding where we're heading. So if you search again more in Google, you'll see it's not necessarily comparison between traditional or vibe coding, but this is the overall a workflow that how a cycle would do, like the way that we do in vibe coding. We just have an idea, you just have some sort of something that to solve, or we have seen someone has done, like let's say web app or this similar ideas, and then you come up with some prompting, very high level, and then ask AI to generate initial testing for your code testing. Then iteratively you improve it. All right. This is basically what we're going to do in this course as well. So let's jump into example as we do always. For traditional one, usually you got an idea, you start from scratch and you Google something, you memorize sometimes the syntax, and you say, oh, and you'll ask, how do I add a button to HTML? I mean, vibe coding is quite a different idea, right? You can actually ask and you get your answer. Like you start with a prompt and get instant code and learn by coding and doing it. So let's just jump into examples. You remember we were talking about like online viewer and stuff like that. So if you have in traditional one, if you know it, so you can actually start coding it, start writing it, right? But if you don't know, for instance, or forget, or you're in a quick answer, so you go to Google. This is about traditional one. You search again for that, and you'll have all the different types of things, right? And you just click one of them, and you see, okay, this is the way to do it, right? And then if there are lots of examples, and you can actually bring this one, or you can actually see here that already done. This is HTML, and this is the way it's done. And it's pretty short, and you can try it even on your own. And you can see what it's done, and you click me and you get some sort of hello word. And now you can actually start playing with that hello you or whatever, and then you can see that right away things changes. So you understand, okay, HTML, the body, it's got the body, it's got like the text here and the bottom, that the configuration, how it works, all right? And then at the end, HTML and close. But how about say our wipe coding? This is the way we do it in wipe coding. As you remember, we said, okay, now make an HTML page. Let's say you don't have to go through this detail, but you can actually ask just at the bottom. But I said with pink background and surprise button, for instance. And then when I ask, quickly you get the HTML, the code here. You didn't do much. What you did was this one, right? And then you just copy it and bring it to HTML here, paste, and that's it. You get, it's not always necessarily working, but at least here it worked. So you can see it's a welcome, surprise, you're amazing. And then if you want to learn more about it, now you have time to go more, learn more about, say you are amazing, and then you search for it, say where it is actually in the code, here it is. You can change it, learn by doing, right? How are you? Yeah, whatever, right? And then quickly you see it takes changes. Or you want to say, okay, this welcome, where is this welcome and how I'm gonna change or say something else. You just search for welcome, right? It's here, right? Or you can have another, this is the way that basically welcome is written, and you can have another button. It's always from H to H, H1, the header and all the way, right? You can actually have just copy it, just try it. You see that you'll get totally same thing, exactly, and then you can actually say welcome to, right? Or imagine you want to do something else. And the text here is surprise, say surprise too. You can see you're building your own application. This is all just a structure. It's not necessarily functioning. The function's got to do with the script here that you can see this display something. And this message is being displayed, which the message is you are amazing or whatever, right? And you will learn more about that one. So you can see here you're amazing, and so on. You can see that this second one is related to the first, to this part. So you can have it another function defining. We'll talk about these things as we go. So hope you learned it. To summarize, we had two differences we talked about: traditional versus wipe coding. In traditional, you either memorize or you know that, and you Google it and you go through the manual working, and there are some in between, some like no coding. So we don't talk about that one. We just talk about wipe coding here. But in wipe coding, you just have an idea and then you come up with a good prompt and then get the code and start building and tweaking it from there. All right. So I'll see you in the practice, please, and next session. And good luck.